Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. A petition has been launched that is requesting the federal government release all those other videos that it's not released yet with regard to UAP/UFOs. This is in addition to a Freedom of Information Act request that was made recently, or actually made, I guess last year sometime by John Greenwald from the Black Vault. He requested that the government release all these the videos and images related to the 143 out of 144 UFOs that were included in this UAP report that was presented to the Congress last year. And now he's supposedly going to get something out of this, and so far he hasn't received any of this data that he requested. But apparently he won the Freedom of Information. Like, he was granted this request, but so far as yet he doesn't know what he's going to get or how much exactly. But he's supposed to get something, but that hasn't come through yet. But meanwhile, a petition that was launched recently got a lot of signatures, and this is requesting the federal government also to release these images and videos to the public. Anyway, here's an article from Newsweek, which I will include the link in the description. It says, petition demands United States government release UFO videos amid changing attitudes. And it reads, a new petition has been launched to request the American government release all unclassified, unidentified aerial phenomena or unidentified flying object footage to the general public. The petition, created by Adam Goldsack from the United Kingdom on February 10th, is directed towards Senators Kirsten Gillibrand from New York, Marco Rubio from Florida, Gina Shahan from New Hampshire, and 3 others. On February 24th, the petition had been signed almost 2,500 times. On the Change.org petition, Goldsack writes, the radical transmedium technology of unidentified aerial phenomena is currently being withheld from the American public. And then he talks about the report that was filed last year, and he says that the report found that 143 out of 144 cases were classified as unidentified. We request that the new UAP office created by Congress make available all unclassified videos and cases so that civilian science can investigate and better understand this technology. And transmedium technology is a term that is used to describe vehicles capable of operating in multiple mediums, with one striking example suggested being submersible aircraft. The term has also been applied to UFOs, which are now labeled UAPs. The other thing is that a lot of times these are called USOs, unidentified submerged objects. But basically, there's objects that the government, that military personnel have witnessed and videotaped. We've seen one of the videos actually, where objects seem to have the ability to move not only through the air but then just go into the water or in or out of water, and so they have these vehicles obviously have the ability to do anything in air or water. And obviously no government of the world has any kind of craft that can do that, so obviously it's extraterrestrial. I know there's a lot of talk about being Chinese or Russian, but of course, if they had it, that means the United States would have it, and we obviously don't have it. Our government has said we don't have it, and I don't believe that anybody on this planet has craft that could do that. But anyway, continuing with this article. It says the petition comes at a time when attitudes toward UFOs and UAPs are changing, with the subject being taken more seriously by scientists and officials. And then it goes on about the report here. In a limited number of incidents, UAP reportedly appeared to exhibit unusual flight characteristics. These observations could be the result of sensor errors, spoofing, or observer misperception, and require additional rigorous analysis. This is from the report. The report continues by saying that there are probably multiple types of UAP requiring different explanations based on the wide range of appearances and behaviors described by reports, adding they may pose a threat to flight safety and United States security. They actually do pose a threat to flight safety. There's been incidents throughout the years where there's been near crashes, and some UFOs have been responsible for crashes. I mean, There was a case in the early 70s where there was a military helicopter that almost a UFO was hovering above it and almost crashed. That was the famous coin incident. And then there's been the Mantell incident in the late 40s, early 50s, where some aircraft were chasing after a UFO, and the one in fighter jets, and the one jet operated by Mantell went too high, and apparently his oxygen ran out, and he had low oxygen when he didn't have any oxygen actually at the time, and so he ended up passing out, and his plane crashed. But he was chasing after a UFO. These things do cause and can cause problems sometimes for aircraft. But anyway, continuing, it says here, the Galileo project, operated by Harvard University, aims to bring the search for extraterrestrial technological signatures of extraterrestrial technological civilizations, ETCs, from anecdote and legend to the mainstream of transparent, validated, and systematic scientific research. Harvard researcher and head of the Galileo project, Avi Loeb, told Newsweek, the Galileo project aims to collect open scientific data on UAP and publish its transparent analysis in peer-reviewed scientific journals. This is the scientific method of advancing our knowledge. It should be applied to figuring out the nature of UAP. In addition to searching for installer intruders in the solar system like the asteroid Uma, the Galileo project gathers high-resolution images of UAPs to try to determine their nature. The aim of megapixel images and analysis, along with artificial intelligence/deep learning, is to determine if these objects originate from another country, are common objects like birds, balloons, or drones, or could come from nearby extrasolar planets. The Galileo project will also search for potential meteor scale or smaller satellites of extrasolar origin, meaning originating outside the solar system, that may be exploring Earth hundreds of kilometers above the planet. To do this, it will rely on future telescope technology such as the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, which will conduct the massive legacy survey of space and time when it begins operations in 2023. Loeb said, the Galileo project is a big tent that includes both advocates and skeptics regarding the extraterrestrial interpretation of UAP. I brought both groups together as a teaching experience about the scientific method. Before this, Loeb said that within the next few months, he and his team will assemble the first telescope system of the Galileo project on the roof of the Harvard College Observatory. He said it will take a continuous video of the entire sky in infrared and visible light, as well as radio and audio. The hardware will be accompanied by artificial intelligence algorithms that will differentiate between a bird, a drone, an airplane, or something else. This will just be a test run. Once the first system works according to our specifications, we will make copies of it and distribute them in various geographical locations of interest. My hope is that we will collect some low-hanging fruit in the coming year or two. Loeb added that once his Harvard team gets quality evidence in the form of high-resolution images or detailed data on the behavior of UAP, both skeptics and advocates should agree on the interpretation, irrespective of their initial opinions. This is how science works, he said. Evidence unites us. I wish the same was true in politics. Commenting on the petition, Loeb concluded, my view is that waiting for the government to declassify documents is like waiting for Godot in Samuel Beckett's famous play. A much better approach is to get new data or higher quality. I don't agree with Loeb on that one. I think we need to get whatever the government has too. I'm really, put it this way, I'm really happy about this Galileo project that we actually have scientists trying to actually study UFOs. I mean, that's totally awesome, and I've said that before. It's wonderful. I mean, we actually have a real scientific study that's actually going to themselves look at this. This ain't like that 1969 Condon nonsense, the Condon report, the report on UFOs that was all bogus. Basically, all that did was look at things that already happened. This is actually going to look at things that are happening. They're looking for things that are out there now. They're trying to gather their own evidence, which is a much different kind of situation than that 1969 Condon report, which was bogus. I'm not going to get into that. I mean, a lot of people who follow the UFO topic know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, Loeb continues. He says the sky is not classified and the cameras available today are far better than those used decades ago. Scientific evidence is founded on the reproducibility of results. We should be able to see the same things by observing the sky again. That's true. That's true. And I will say this. I've recently talked about how I really, really don't like this Stephen Greer grift, where he has, people pay $700 to show up at some retreat somewhere, and they sit there and meditate, and then UFOs show up. Okay, if you want to see a UFO, if you have the time, you could see one. You could, if you were to set the time, the way the world works, a lot of people don't have the time. But if you were to sit and watch the sky, nightly or even in the daytime, whenever, and scan the skies with your eyeballs in some place where it's where you could see, it's a good panoramic view. Eventually, you're going to see something. They're out there. They're out there all the time. There's stuff all the time. Just yesterday I saw some videos. I watched one of my channels. The channels that I like to watch on YouTube is Secure Team 10. That this guy puts together some good images and videos of UFOs spotted from around the world. And he had something on there just yesterday that showed these triangles, basically in two different parts of the world, these triangles sitting in the sky that were filmed by different people from different parts of the world. And they pretty much look the same. But, what are these objects? Are they look like they might be some sort of probe, just watching us. And not only that, but there was something similar that I just did a video on this a couple of days ago, where there was some sort of object, a triangular shaped object, just floating above the city of Islamabad in Pakistan, and it was filmed by it was observed by some guy for over 2 hours, and he had to stop. It just stayed in the sky, just hung in the sky for over 2 hours. There's something out. These guys, these scientists, the Galileo Project, they're going to find something. Right, and it's going to be interesting to see, what do the skeptics say when this happens, when they do find stuff, But I do disagree with Loeb on the issue with regarding the government, what the government has. I'd like to see more. I want to see what else they have. Again, this is stuff that's been gathered using taxpayer dollars, and the taxpayers have a right to see it, right? So yes, this you have the Freedom of Information Act requests made by the Black Vault, and then you also have now a petition demanding that we see the rest of these, whatever these videos are. This is things that have apparently occurred between 1994 all the way up into 2021 of different UFOs. I'd like to see the rest of them. We did see a few of those, like the gimbal footage and all that stuff, but that's only a little taste of it. I'd like to see what else they have. Are they afraid to release the other ones? Do the other ones pretty much... is it end game with it? Because is it just too close to the truth? Is that why they're afraid to release them? Apparently, it could be. There could be the other videos might show stuff that is just too much for the public to handle in the mind of the people running the Pentagon, right? But that's beside the point. The thing is, we have a right to know. The people have a right to know what's going on with regard to these UFOs. Everybody wants to know about it, right? Everybody's tired of it, of waiting, of all this obfuscation and all these years of cover up. It's just, at one time it made sense, but it hasn't made sense for decades now. It's time to come out with this information, and I want to see the rest of those. What other pictures and videos are there that you have that were part of that report? I'd like to know. And I'm sure even beyond that report, there's other things that happened before 1994 that, and I'm probably even sure there's more than just those 144 cases that they looked at from 1994 to 2021. I'm sure, the Air Force has been holding out on this. I'm sure they got way more stuff than the Navy. Most of that stuff came from the Navy, so they're holding out. But there's a lot of stuff out there that the public has just never been allowed to see because somebody in the Pentagon doesn't think that we should. I do believe that what's going on right now is a slow disclosure. I think it became necessary. It's become necessary because of cell phones. Cell phones has I think there's a fear that, okay, if we don't start, disclosing, then at some point something's going to happen where it's going to become indisputable, and people are going to wonder, well, you didn't know about this, you didn't, you had no inkling whatsoever. So all these people who said they saw UFOs throughout the years, they were actually right, and you were wrong, because there was a time where the government, the Air Force, downplayed this. They said it was people were hallucinating, or they misidentified something, or they were drunk or on drugs, or it was natural phenomena, or this is going on for decades like this, where they downplayed it and pretended that there was nothing to it. In fact, they closed that Project Blue Book in 1969 because of that Condon report, that bogus report to study, to find out, it was supposed to be a scientific study on what UFOs were. And the study determined, it was a biased study that determined that there's nothing to it, basically, even though there was a whole bunch of cases in there that were unexplained. So and the Air Force and other factions of the government have pretended that there's nothing to UFOs from this, from that point on, for the most part. Now it seems like they're turning that around, and I believe it has to do with technology. Our technology is just so advanced now. Everyone has a cell phone, that could record 8K videos. So, at some point, some event might happen where, something shows up and it's just going to be indisputable. There could be one of these giant UFOs like showed up in Phoenix in 1997, 25 years ago. That happens now, it's going to be game over, and everyone's going to realize that there's extraterrestrials here. There'll be no more. You won't be able to deny it. It doesn't matter how hard of a skeptic you are. So that's why I think this is going on, and I think it's important that we get more. Instead of this slow drip, let's get another nice big chunk of stuff. I want to see more.